Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Hello and welcome to the Midweek Takeaway. Today we're joined by Pieter Krügel, CEO of Mast Energy Developments. Following a major step forward in the company's growth strategy, Mast has just signed a binding agreement to acquire exclusive rights to an initial 25 megawatt portfolio of flexible generation development sites across England, each with confirmed grid access despite the national moratorium on new connections. This move effectively doubles MED's portfolio to 48 megawatts and lays the groundwork to scale towards a 100 megawatt target and beyond. The deal also includes a project development framework with green light energy, enabling Mast to identify and build out additional qualifying sites at a lower cost. With UK grid reform accelerating and long duration energy storage more crucial than ever, this agreement positions Mast as a nimble early mover in a rapidly shifting energy landscape. Pieter, great to have you back. Can you just walk us through the significance of this deal and what it means for MED's expansions plans, please?
Hi, Phil. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for having me back. And yes, we're very excited about this, as you rightly said, a significant step forward in our strategy. We've been working on the strategy for quite some time. So the UK government announced the clean energy policy toward the end of last year. And although it was still just the outline of a plan, they did firmly indicate that there's going to be significant reform of the connections regime. And we looked at that and we said that, on the one hand, this is going to create problems for energy developers. But on the other hand, if we develop a proper strategy and we're an early mover, we can really benefit from this. And that's exactly how it turned out. I think we timed this very well. We did the necessary work, the necessary preparation, and we got everything into place to really be one of the first movers in the space. There's no other third-party developer that we know of that's doing what we're doing at the moment. In fact, we've had extensive discussions with our growth capital partner, being Powertree, who's been in this industry for a very long time. And, they're certainly not doing it. In fact, they said that, they're really excited about this and they want us to plug this strategy into our growth capital partnership with them. So that's immediately a funding solution for us for some or all of these sites. So yes, we're very excited about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously that acquisition will effectively double MED's current development portfolio, as I just alluded there. But just explain the strategic importance of these new 5 megawatt sites and, how they fit into your longer term vision of building over this touted 300 megawatt plus platform.
Yes, Phil. So, we've been saying, and our strategy remains to get to 300 megawatts as quickly as possible. And I think this step forward is adding to that in a significant way. So our current portfolio is 23 megawatts. This is going to bring us to 48. We are already looking at and have a firm pipeline to get that to 100 megawatts in the near term. And I'm talking about kind of by the end of the year. It's got significant scope to grow further from there. So I think, to get to the 300, this is going to be a significant piece of that puzzle. The benefit of these sites and why we're so excited about this strategy is that we've specifically made sure that each of these sites are capable of being developed as not only a low carbon gas turbine as our current sites, and Pyebridge in particular, being operational at the moment, which we still believe is a very important and in fact critical part of the UK energy mix. So we'll certainly keep on looking at that. That also aligns very well with our growth capital partnership with Powertree. They've got exactly the same view. They're very bullish on low carbon gas turbines in the UK and why they're deploying significant amounts of capital to grow their portfolio, their low carbon gas turbine portfolio. But moreover, we said that we'd like to look at diversifying our technologies, and these sites can be developed as battery energy storage systems, solar, EV charging, or in some cases, if we've got enough land available, which some of these sites do, we can do a hybrid combination of the technologies. So, not only are we progressing our strategy to build out our portfolio to get to the 300 megawatts, but we're also diversifying technologies, which is a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's an important part that sort of jumped out of the RNS at me, sort of a nuance around this national grid moratorium, which you just talked about. But can you elaborate on this is it the CMP 446 rule change, and then how it allows these smaller sort of sub 5 megawatt projects to kind of bypass this bottleneck, and how MED is going to position itself to take advantage of this sort of window?
Yes. So historically, the grid connection application process worked essentially on a first come, first served basis. And that created the problem that we're sitting with today. And the main reason for the reform is that the gate queue ended up with a pipeline of potential projects up until 2037. Most of those projects are what they call zombie projects, so it won't ever be developed. And that is sucking up a lot of the grid capacity nationally and creating a shortage of projects actually being developed, actually going into generation and to support and solve the UK in energy problems. So I mean the reform I think is very much needed. I think it's still as a way to go. And I think the government and the policy has not yet figured out which projects they are going to prioritize. But this rule change, the CMP 446, takes away that problem for us entirely. It allows projects of up to 5 megawatts, which is pretty much exactly the types of projects that we develop, to skip that gate queue, to fast track application. It also takes away the need for a transmission impact assessment, which is time consuming and costly, and we can develop the project as we've been doing up to now. Along with that, third-party developers, historically from which we've acquired these sites, have stopped developing these sites, mainly due to the connections reform. So, all of a sudden, we're not only a first mover in this space to develop projects for ourselves, but we're now one of the few developers that's actually developing these projects. So, we're supplying something that there's going to be a very big demand for.
So, Peter, what is the sort of financial dynamics around having these sites that can then have battery and gas and storage as well?
The financial dynamics is an important consideration, Kevin, and a very good question. So I think each technology has got its own pros and cons. It's got its own particular capex requirement, timeline for development, and so on. So, I mean, it's very clear for us, based on our actual results and comparing that to the rest of the market, that at the moment, low carbon gas turbines remain the most profitable. So it's got the lowest capex per megawatt, it's got the highest revenue per megawatt, etc. And we believe that to remain the case, at least for the next few years. But battery technology is catching up, and the adoption of battery technology means that the cost per megawatt is reducing. So that's certainly something that we have been looking at, and that we're now looking at much more close. So I think over time it will equal out. So low carbon gas turbines and BESS will probably come around out at the same return profile. So that's fine. Solar, on the other hand, has got a much lower return in the UK, just purely from, there's only 4 or 5 months worth of, proper sun, but it's got much more predictable.
We should have rain panels, not solar panels. I think that would be more useful.
Rain panels, exactly. But I mean, just on that note, so again, as with batteries, solar technology is also progressing, and there's now solar panels that can actually generate electricity just from moonlight. So I mean, that's also something that's going to progress in future. But I mean, speaking to third-party commercial debt funders, they're very pro-solar, notwithstanding that they only have 5 months worth of sun and income during the year, because it's very predictable. They know for those 5 months, that's the income that you're going to get. That services the debt. The debt gets paid off, and for the rest of the lifetime of that asset, which in the case of solar is easily 20 years, that's pure profit back to the equity investors. And so that's one of the reasons why we are looking at solar.
But each one of these sites, are you effectively suggesting that because it's going to have gas turbine battery, that you're effectively going to potentially double if the battery valuation or the battery costs go down? to put them in? Are we talking about you're going to have, twice the profit on the same land, if you like?
So if we're talking per megawatt, not necessarily. So what we are looking at is increasing the site's grid connection capacity in due course. So we'll start off with a particular technology, whether it's low carbon gas turbine or BESS, whatever makes the most sense at that time, and then increasing the grid connection capacity in due course. So then adding another 5 or 10 megawatts and then adding batteries or gas turbines to the site. Where we are looking at co-location, you're going to be constrained to that specific connection capacity, where in our case, as a start, is going to be 5 megawatts. So you'll do 2.5 megawatts batteries, 2.5 megawatts solar as a practical example.
So does it allow you then to use the gas when you can get it at the absolute cheapest price, store it into the battery, and then obviously release that battery when and if it's called upon? Is that the general gist? So you can be paying half the price for the gas because you do it in the middle of the night or whatever it happens to be, and subsequently then at 6 o'clock or whatever is peak time, you then release that battery out. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so I think a better example is solar and batteries. So, when the sun shines, you charge the battery for free effectively. And when the sun doesn't shine, you discharge that electricity at a premium when there's a scarcity of generation. In the case of gas and batteries, so batteries best charge when there's a lot of wind. And usually when there's a lot of wind, electricity prices are at a low. And that's when batteries charge, and coincidentally also when gas don't generate, because there's a lot of wind, electricity prices are too low. So there isn't really a beneficial relationship between gas and batteries. So the co-location of that, for the purposes of the one charging the other, is not necessarily going to make a lot of sense. But what is going to make a lot of sense is these technologies each generate at a particular time of the day and the week and the month. And for us, we want to get to a place where we can generate 24/7, 365 based on all our technologies.
Yeah, I get it now. So it's more solar into the batteries than there is gas.
Yes.
And ultimately, you're then going to be covering all the bases in terms of time-wise, during the situation. But at the end of the day, you want to be in a situation where at peak times you're releasing this electricity and getting the most for it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Very good. Well, are we going to get more of these deals then?
Yes. So the plan is, and I mean, we're already looking at next sites in this framework agreement. So there's already 5 more lined up. So we want to get to this 100 megawatts for this new strategy by the end of the year, if not sooner. We want to further develop these sites, go into construction. So we're very excited about this initiative.
Yeah, I read in the ask that you were talking about the 100 megawatts just in this agreement. Is that from new sites or the ability to extend the sites that you already have?
At the moment, it's all new sites because we have to stay within that 1 to 5 megawatt threshold, not to get caught in the grid connection gate queue and wait until 2037. So it's all going to be new sites, but so that gives us the benefit to get to the 100 megawatts quickly, but it also gives us the benefit of extending those sites in future, because we believe, and I think the view is widely, that the grid connections reform will get sorted before 2037. And when it does, we can take our, let's call it 10 or 20 or 35 megawatt sites, and we can increase that to 10 megawatt sites. So we double the capacity almost immediately at that time.
Very good. So we're going to be hearing from you and looking at your beautiful face a lot more in the next few months.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, on that note, we'll say Pieter Krügel, CEO of Mast Energy Developments. Thanks very much for appearing back on the podcast.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Kevin. Looking forward to the next one.
Cheers, Peter.
This podcast was brought to you by Roast PR Limited. If you would like to appear on a future episode of The Sunday Roast, please email admin@thesundayroast.net.